2 years, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think any politics stuff that's been going on lately. I don't know. The Sanders thing is interesting. So here's the deal. Like, if you go 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, Bernie Sanders was accused of looking at data that was only for Hillary Clinton, right? So they're both part of they're both Democrats. There's like this shared database, but there's supposed to be a firewall that prevents them from accessing each other's stuff. So the thing is, the Democratic National Party seems to be in Hillary's corner. They're supposed to be neutral, right? But the fact that there aren't many debates means that the front runner becomes hard to dislodge, and that's Hillary. The fact that the debates they do have are like weekends at night when nobody watches them. They go up against really tough things like football games. Like the next one I think is during the playoffs, right? So there's like that competes with a playoff football game. Like they're really burying Sanders and I think the other guy's O'Malley the opportunity to be seen. And they feel like the DNC is just against Bernie Sanders. So anyway, someone on Bernie Sanders' campaign accessed Hillary's stuff. And they're like, sorry about that. They immediately fired her, etc. It turns out that this person in the campaign worked for the DNC like this year. Like one might think she was a plant, right? Like they're like, where'd we hire her from? Like they just recently hired her, and then like step one after they hire her is to embarrass the campaign by making them illegally access this data. And they immediately shut down their access to the data going forward, and he had to sue to get it back. It didn't take too long, but it almost seems like they put a plant in his campaign. She did something bad, and then that was the excuse they needed to remove his access from this data, which would have sunk his whole thing.
Wow.
So Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, like he wants a full like investigation of how this went. Like he wants to know everything that went down. Oh, and by the way, he thinks they should investigate everybody's access because he's hinting that Hillary's been doing this all along. That like the firewall occasionally, like it keeps dropping.
What kind of information is this that they're accessing? Like
I
don't understand.
Voter data, like people who would be likely to donate, people who would be likely to vote, people who need to be robocalled to, mailed to, etc. And people who might be on the fence. It's all the data that they collect and on the voting base. So there's, I guess, Bernie Sanders, interestingly to me, is trying to get like full disclosure on all the access that's happened everywhere. And the DNC is like, no. You know what? Just forget about the whole thing. Forget about it. We're sorry that we ever, gave you a hard time about doing this. Just let's forget that you hired someone who worked for us first. Let's not even look into whether Hillary's ever done this. Let's just bury the whole thing. Like, some interesting political drama.
If it was a like direct sabotage, though, don't you think they would have done a better job?
No.
Well, yeah, maybe you're right.
Putting a lot of faith in our elected officials. You're funny.
Yeah.
Now,
I just don't think that they're that afraid of Bernie to be sabotaging him. Like, it's not that like I think they're directly like fuck Bernie as much as they're just like, hey, Hillary, better the devil you know. So we know her.
Be surprised.
We know she'll be
go all the way back to Whitewater. Like Nixon didn't need any help.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't see anyone even coming close. For the Democrats getting close to competing with Hillary. Like,
I mean, no one's voted yet.
I don't think so.
I don't see anyone coming close to Hillary, period. Like, you think...
No, probably not.
Trump is going to... If Trump wins, I think he gets smashed. I think that Trump will not do well at all. And then behind him is Ted Cruz, who I'm no more impressed with. And then behind them is Rubio, who I think is the strongest of the three.
I prefer Rubio to either of those two.
And then... I don't like Rubio either. But then you've got Hillary over there, and I just feel like she's head and shoulders more likely to do well in an election than most of the other people we're talking about.
Well, yeah, she's like already heavily playing the woman card, and that's not going to stop throughout the whole thing. She's going to play that, that's every card in her deck. Every question to her is like a third of a second of maybe a response tied into how she's a woman and how the very fact that answering this question as a woman is revolutionary in its own right if we all sit down and think about it. And now my time's up. It is. I had no answer, but I'm a woman. You want to check? Like,
I remember they asked about her ties to the banking industry. Like apparently the banking industry and the investment industry has given more to her than to any other candidate in the race. And her answer was like, "Hey, oh yeah, are we getting all our money from Goldman Sachs? I was a woman during 9/11."
Yeah.
And that was
actually, I'm only getting 77 times as much. Oh, next question.
but she invoked 911 and the fact that she was a woman, and that was her answer to her ties. And she got a little heat for it, but faded away.
We'll see. I'm just looking forward to it because I think it's going to be a real shit show. Sanders seems like the most well-intentioned of all the candidates, and perhaps the most well-intentioned candidate in a very, very long time. But I think he's going to get left by the wayside by the time this thing is over. What if Trump names him as VP, though? How crazy would that be? Then what happens?
Oh,
what
it'd be hilarious.
Trump Sanders.
Dude, well, there's always a well-intentioned candidate, right? Like, so this year it's Bernie Sanders. He's the well-intentioned candidate. I feel like Ron Paul, his dad, I felt like was the well-intentioned candidate for a couple of cycles. Rand Paul is probably well-intentioned too. And then, like, I'm way back in the day, Ross Perot was a well-intentioned candidate. Like, these well-intentioned candidates have a long history of being also Rands to the evil fucking horn-spouting Clintons and Trumps of the world.
Yeah. I would like to see that. That would be my dream ticket, I think. Trump names Sanders his VP, and they go against Hillary and whoever she concocts. That actually might be a race if you could combine the Trump supporters and the Sanders supporters somehow.
I think it'd be better if Sanders put Trump as his VP. Then Trump would harmlessly be hilarious.
Oh.
No.
I want some harm.
He's not sitting back seat to that old fogey.
No.
He's going to be in the
they need to team up to take Hillary down. I'd love to see that. But what's going to be great is when they get to the national stage and you got Clinton going against Trump. If that happens, that's going to be incredibly entertaining. There's going to be so many good attack ads. Saturday Night Live is going to have a ball. It's going to be funny. Those debates will be gold. I can't wait to see because I can't think of a candidate who takes themselves more seriously than Clinton. And I can't think of a candidate who takes himself less seriously, at least as a candidate and as a politician, than Trump. It's going to be great. She can't answer the question.
Big speech, and he's going to come out and just be like, "I honestly can't believe I'm still here." And then
Trump's campaign against Hillary is literally, mark my words, he's going to mimic her. He's going to bully and mimic her, just like do her motions. He'll make fun of her laugh. He'll mock her and say, "I can't believe anyone would vote for her. She says things like this or does things like that." And he'll make fun of her physical characteristics. It'll be his entire platform.
He should bring up Clinton and the 14 women or whatever who accused him.
Guaranteed. He's already said he will.
Yeah, that should be a big part of it. He should